there, you with the sad face, come on to my place for taking now. Good evening, and welcome back to the One Celtic Fans View this evening. I've got to say, what a fine evening it is. I hope it's as fine wherever you are watching this around to the One Celtic Fans. So, where do we start? I'm going to start with some of the good stuff. Celtic fans. I am going to start with some of the good stuff, and I'm going to start with obviously the fact that Celtic Football Club yesterday went to the sick kids hospital, and they took the trophy along, and they give a little bit of joy to the kids. Give a little joy to younger people that are in hospital seriously ill with, in situations that we could not fathom, and definitely not even contemplate understanding what the parents of these children are going through. And I think it's absolutely phenomenal that even at this time, when you could say that Celtic are too busy, they're trying to get in the mode for the game at the weekend, that the players took time out in their busy lives, you've got to say it, to the game at the to go and visit the kids. And for me, fair play to them. And then there is the Martin O'Neill. And there's a bit of shock news tonight, so make sure you don't leave, because we've got a lot to get through tonight. And there is a lot of stuff that I particularly want to talk about, and I want to show you, as always. And first of all, we're going to listen into the interview with Martin O'Neill, talking about his family and talking about the whole situation at Celtic currently.
Yeah, did you get time to enjoy it with family and friends?
I did, and I made the most of it this time. I genuinely did. I wasn't sure about them coming up, and I suppose my wife does get very concerned about the games. But there was a discussion on the Thursday and said, yeah, come on, let's go for it. Whatever happens, it happens. And it's something that my two grandchildren I'd like to have seen anyway. I'm not saying the 3-year-old will remember a great deal about it, but the 7-year-old will take some of it in. And and for them to be there was just magnificent.
Would you agree that it feels like the achievement that it took for you and your coaching staff and the players to win this title over the course of the season has somehow been lost in all the noise, and it's worth highlighting what an achievement it was?
There's no question it's been lost. It's not what outside our supporters, outside us, outside the diaspora. Everybody wanted Hearts to win, and there was just this what shall I say? An incredible anti-feeling about us winning it, and so that didn't become the story. The story became the fans coming onto the pitch to celebrate, as if it's never happened before, and just downright skullduggery on our part to actually come and take the win away from Hearts. So Hearts have been brilliant all season. Let's remind ourselves about that there. But we won it, and sometimes I have to remind myself that we did do.
Yeah, and win it by winning those last 7 games, winning all the 5 games after the split.
Yeah.
Many people spoke about the spirit of '86, and people remember that famous day at Love Street, but we had to win the last 8 games back then, so it was very similar. It wasn't just about that last day.
No, it wasn't. No, we lost just before the international break. We went to Tannadice, got beaten in the game, didn't perform at all. I think, probably the only time that we didn't perform for very long periods of the game. We had a couple of chances in that match. Kieran Tierney perhaps maybe could have scored. Iniacho's forced the goalkeeper into making a great save, both at 0-0. But overall second half performance not good enough. And it was a long way back from then. But we had a time, interestingly, that was an international break. Some of the players were going away. The rest of us had to sit in quiet isolation and churn it all over. But there was a renewed spirit about us coming back to Dundee. I think probably personified by Niacho coming on and getting the goal for us to win the game. And you felt just slowly but surely, yes, we can do this. Realising that you can't make a mistake, cannot make a mistake in the game, or if you make mistakes, then you have to rectify that. So, and you're trying to play like each game, you have to find a way to win.
You have a way to win. That was the Celtic manager talking about obviously what's happened, talking about the fact that the meltdown in Scottish media, the ongoing meltdown in Scottish media, and you would think that when you get to the Wednesday, do you know, this happened on Saturday, you'd think that they would kind of run out of steam with their narrative. Well, Hearts fans won't like what's going to happen tonight on this channel, that is for sure. You'd think that they would kind of, and I'm just checking that. Now, where do we start? I'm going to start with an explosive. You may have seen this because there's been over 500,000 people saw it. I am going to put it at full screen, and I am going to, now, whether there's any truth in this or not, but it has been forwarded many, many times. And I think that Celtic need to take control of the narrative. If Celtic aren't prepared to take control of the narrative and actually show what's been going on, it's up to us, the fans, to take control of the narrative. So if any Hearts people out there would like to come and either deny or confirm that this happened.
Still don't know how to feel about yesterday, but I just spoke to Angela and got a debrief of what the fuck went down at Tynecastle last night, / just in general yesterday, because she ended up getting a ticket for the game from Shankland, and then was back at Tynecastle in the Gorgie Suite with all the players as Grants +1 for their celebration afterwards. Apparently, everything that happened on the pitch happened, and then it all kicked off like fuck in the tunnel as well. Shankland had Maeda by the throat. I think it was potentially Frankie Kent that then Fulton that put him through a door. Just mass brawls between the players, which is partially why they just left without getting changed, because it was all kicking off like fuck inside the tunnel. Then they all got back to Tynecastle, obviously buzzing, very, very steaming. Dell, Fulton and Shanklin singing "We Hate Roman Catholics" in the Gorgie Suite. Every cunt just been an absolute fucking riot. Blair Spittle ended up in an ambulance because he fell off a whiskey barrel and smashed his face open. Fucking chaos by the sense of it.
Well, there you go. There you go. That was massive. Now, whether or not that is true or not, Hearts will deny that all day long, but it does get worse for the Jambos. Does get worse, because we know that you've got a history of it. We know this. The evidence is out there. We know that there is an anti-Catholic agenda with regards to Celtic Football Club doing anything in Scottish football. Never mind Hearts and their fans. That's not these Hearts fans. There you go. Hearts fans, up to their knees. That's all you need to hear, isn't it? Yeah, there's no anti-Catholic agenda out there. We're imagining everything, ladies and gentlemen, and we're making it up. You know, Martin O'Neill hasn't really seen anything that was there, and it's a bit of bad luck. Now, it goes even more bizarre because the website that gives you exclusives, the website that gives you exclusives went out and got a dinosaur of the Scottish game, and the narrative has went down a really dark road with this one, hasn't it?
Yes, I did say that Martin O'Neill's experience would do it, but I must admit, I don't know if the whole thing is finished yet. I really don't, and I don't know if this is really the case that Celtic actually have won. The stories are, and again, I'm hearing media rumours and different issues that Hearts were able.
Media rumours, allegations, hearsay, no factual evidence. Is this what we're running the game on in Scottish football? Isn't the fact Celtic won 3-1 against Hearts? 3-1. We didn't just win by a dodgy penalty. I noticed that Rangers got a penalty on the end of the day. And by the way, there was things that went on the pitch by Hearts players on that day that should have resulted in Hearts players being sent off an immediate red card. But none of it has been spoken about.
To get an emergency injunction to secure all the audio, the tapes, all the things that went on. Did the referee actually blow his whistle? If he didn't, then I'm afraid the game is abandoned and there could well be a 3-0
He did. Jesus, honestly.
sanction. Now, these are all the conspiracy theories that are going on right now, but it is not being clear as to where this is. Once again, the SFA and the SPFL have left us sort of a bit in the dark about this whole issue.
They've not left anybody in the dark. The SPFL and the SFA come out and said that the referee blew his whistle. End of conversation. But some people just will not accept it. Acceptance is a hard thing when you're bitter. And, do you know, I get a lot of stick for sticking up for the right side of our club. Let's talk about Derek McInnes and the BBC. Let's talk about that narrative for a little while, because the BBC put it across as that Celtic's pitch invasion was absolutely disgusting, tarnished the game, ugly scenes, Scotland manager, ugly scenes in football, you don't want it, all because it's Celtic Football Club. Let's watch this little bit from the BBC and the commentary from that great establishment, the British broadcasting bullshit. Let's listen to this.
And it's all too much for some of the Rugby Park faithful. They're on the pitch celebrating with their heroes, and Blaine Alston's goal in the 90th minute has broken our both hearts.
Oh, look at that. Wait a minute.
But it's joy.
Look at him there. Look at him. Hey, look at how ecstatic he is. He didn't run down the tunnel that day, did he? He didn't run away and disappear.
Derek McInnes has led Kilmarnock back to the top line.
There is an agenda in Scottish football. And we see it. There is an agenda in Scottish football. Because Celtic won.
At the first time of asking, just little more than 3 months having taken charge.
Pitch invasion galore.
After Tommy Wright's departure, he's turned things round. And Kilmarnock, James McFadden, championship champions, and back in the top flight once more. Yeah, and
You know, this will be interesting listening to James McFadden, because he's been very vocal about the whole scenario when it comes to Celtic, hasn't he? Look, there's McInnes getting a little selfie. Look at that. That's one for the book, isn't it? Yeah, there's me and McInnes. That's like we met down the lodge once, and it's like, get it right up.
this has been key to that for me. Hugely.
I mean, that's a pitch invasion that is just completely disgraceful. No police, no stewarding. What the hell's going on? Disgraceful scenes, is it not? Not comparative at all to the Celtic scenes, is it?
Experienced, successful manager. And look, it wasn't the best of games in terms of Kilmarnock's performance. It wasn't the prettiest, but they got the job done. They've won the game.
Oh, look at that. They're all enjoying themselves, aren't they? It's yeah. Seems to be one rule for them and one rule if Celtic win. We know this.
Bro, they took a huge
there he is.
at the
Yeah,
start of the
God, it almost looks like a Hearts top there, doesn't it?
season. They're maintaining the budget of a Premiership side. It's paid off for them, and now they can look up the way and look forward to next season as a Premiership team once again.
Awfully excitable, aren't they? It's very joyous about the occasion. We've won the league. Honestly, it's absolutely disgusting behaviour.
What an evening once again in the Championship. It doesn't get more dramatic than this.
There we go. Look at that. That's a pitch invasion. That's a real pitch invasion. Not like that. It wasn't a pitch invasion Celtic had. It was just a couple of young lads on the pitch. Over exuberant. Hibs, when they beat Rangers at Hampden. That was a pitch invasion. Never seen such an outcry as then, have we? Anyway, we move on from that because there is a lot more evidence. We have been collating numerous amounts of evidence this evening, and that is that one from the BBC. And a big shout out to at Zens whatever Lint on Twitter for highlighting that for us, and it has had 200,000 views. Him repost. And here's another one. Here's how. They say there's no anti-Catholic scenario, and you know, when you get fans talking about abusing fans, something that doesn't go on in any other team in Scotland, not at all. Not just weeks before, there was another pitch invasion that was ugly scenes. About 100 Celtic fans that invaded the pitch because Celtic won a penalty shootout, and when Celtic did win the penalty shootout, the fans got a little bit over exuberant, and one certain fan base
without getting changed.
Didn't like the fact that the Celtic fans got a little bit over exuberant. Not just weeks. So let me just show you this, because we will remember this, but it's been swept under the proverbial carpet to, you know, Rangers are nothing. Here are Rangers fans abusing Celtic fans and trying to attack them as they leave the pitch. And look at that, Celtic players leaving the pitch just with a bit of a grace and honour. Meanwhile, behind them, there's all sorts of shit with an unbelievable amount of Rangers fans on the pitch in balaclavas, hiding their faces, attacking Celtic staff, attacking Celtic fans, and attacking the police. There's an awful lot of whataboutery in Scottish football, and it's not nice. It needs to stop. It doesn't stop there this evening, because I've got even more. Yes, if they want to go, I want to change the narrative. I want to be one of those Celtic channels that actually stands up for the club, stands up for the fan base. I've been on the terraces. But the bad news is for Heart of Midlothian tonight. UEFA have launched an investigation into Heart of Midlothian's participation in Europe amid their concerns via Tony Bloom. Now, Tony Bloom, who is Tony Bloom exactly? He owns Brighton Albion, Hove Albion, and there's a report coming out today. Let's talk about Tony Bloom for a minute. Tony Bloom, the billionaire, the professional gambler, the owner of Brighton Hove Albion. He owns 29% of Hearts. Are we actually going to listen to a guy? Are we going to listen to someone that owns only 29% of a football club? This is the narrative that's been run by Scottish football? Anyway, Hearts could, it looks like, be subject to Jambos booked their qualifying spots in the Champions League qualifying path with the second place finish in Scottish football. This goes on to say it was confirmed by the controversial 3-1 final defeat by Celtic. But it doesn't stop there. Brighton are in line for European qualification with a 7th place finish in the Europa League, their most likely destination. But now, City AM are reporting that the European governing body are scrutinising the connection between Hearts and Brighton. Bloomhole's 29% stake in the Jambos, deliberately below the 39% threshold by UEFA that prohibits owners from owning a holding in more than one club in its competitions. The major UEFA ruling states that no individual can exercise by any means any decisive influence in decision making in more than one club competing in UEFA competition. A decision is expected in early June. It would be phenomenal, amazing, absolutely outstanding if Hibernian were to lose their place in European football to allow their brothers in arms across the road from Celtic Park into... Anyway, yes, it's called a conflict of interest. He doesn't own the club outright, but he's having an awfully big say in what's happening in Scottish football. It doesn't end there this evening. That investigation has met by the Scottish media. It will be interesting to see how open and transparent the reporting is of that scenario is in Scottish football. Because the agenda by the media would be so far down the road, we have to protect Hearts here. He only owns 29%. He's not the majority shareholder. Why is he coming out and making statements? And then there's another scenario that goes to... I'm going to turn the volume down on this one because he's got music playing. But there was a scenario at Celtic Park during that game, during the penalty. Yes, the penalty that Celtic got towards... the penalty that we got. But let's look at let's play it out a little bit slower. Because during the penalty... Why is that still up? Let's make sure that volume's right down. During the penalty scenario, and there you see certain players pushing Celtic players, and there you see him, Mr. Little Bigoted right there, hates everything about Celtic. And then the players to watch is here, is Austin Trusty. Watch Austin Trusty. I've managed to just put a finger on him there. And watch Austin Trusty, because what happens to Austin Trusty wasn't even looked at by the referee. Never mind VAR. Now the Hearts player comes back in. There's Trusty protecting the spot, protecting his fellow defender in Liam Scales. Dijsmeijer protecting the spot, just making sure. And there's the man himself, the little winger, just protecting the spot, making sure that no Hearts players can get to it. But it's playing out in full time now. It's in the speed, and there you see the Hearts player, and there you go, a little bit of push. There's nothing in that. A little bit of handbag stuff, they would call that, And then we'll just keep it watching there. He decides to move in on his target, move in on the biggest one. Pick on the biggest one. It's always been a thing of mine. If there's someone bigger than you, just go and pick on the biggest guy in the room. Once you knock him down, the rest of them are all falling. But here we go. He kind of looks at Trusty. He's pushing Trusty. A couple of pushes of Trusty. Gets a bit different there. There's Tenecti trying to protect Trusty. And then watch this bit here. Look at that. There's a little bit of a forearm into the throat. There we go. Forearm into the throat. No VAR. Isn't that a penalty? Isn't that a sending off? Isn't that dangerous behaviour that should result in a sending off. Nobody's speaking about that. Where's the narrative from the Hearts fans about this situation? I mean, we can come back again and do it in slow motion. Don't know. The video's there to see. Hearts player puts his arm up. Tenetti's trying to keep his arm down. He gets his arm up. He goes straight for the throat of Austin Trusty. Right into the throat of Trusty. Trusty's pushed back. Nothing. No VAR. No red card. It's only Celtic players. Get over it. And there's Trusty showing that he's just been punched in the throat. He's been throat punched. Now you'll get certain fans that are like, hurrah, hurrah, taking one for the team, you know, violence against that lot. And there's Trusty. We'll go back. Is that not assault? Is that not violent conduct? Instant red card? I thought it was. But anyway, that is the narrative of the mainstream media. It's the narrative of a lot of people within the media to quietly brush aside these ridiculous Celtic situations. We've just spent 26 minutes calling out sectarianism in Scotland, calling out double standards in Scotland, calling out Derek McInnes being on the pitch with over-exuberant fans celebrating a league title. It's funny how it's a different scenario when it comes down to Celtic. Martin O'Neill said right at the start of this video, Martin O'Neill said that he felt that the narrative had been taken away. It's time that we take back the narrative. Because if we don't, we allow Scottish football to be dragged into the gutter. And I think it's too late for it to be dragged. I think it's been dragged into the gutter already. But when you look at the situation that's going on, and is it good for the game? I don't know. And I'm glad that Martin O'Neill today went on to Celtic TV and spoke about the situation, spoke about the win, spoke about the achievement by Celtic.
To the season has somehow been lost in all the noise, and it's worth highlighting what an achievement it was.
There's no question it's been lost. It's not what outside our supporters, outside us, outside the diaspora, everybody wanted Hearts to win, and there was just this what shall I say, just an incredible anti-feeling about us winning it. And so that didn't become the story. The story became the fans coming onto the pitch to celebrate, you know, as if it's never happened before. And and just, you know, downright skullduggery on our part to actually come and take the win away from Hearts. So Hearts have been brilliant all season. Let's remind ourselves about that there. But we won it. And sometimes I have to remind myself that we did do.
Yeah, and win it by winning those last 7 games, winning all the 5 games after the split.
Yeah.
Many people spoke about the spirit of '86, and people remember that famous day at Love Street, but we had to win the last 8 games back then, so it was very similar. It wasn't just about that last day.
No,
it wasn't just about that last day, and I think that the narrative has been completely lost. It was an absolutely fantastic end to the season by Celtic. I was asked yesterday by a Manchester City commentator. He commentates for Manchester City, which I never knew. He commentates for Manchester City for their hard of sight people at the stadium and around the world. And he asked if Celtic were lucky to win the league. And it just shows you that the narrative that's been pushed around football any other league, any other country, the comeback, the fight back from a football team would be something. It's like Roy of the Rover stuff. It's something that would be proclaimed as magnificent. It's something that would be proclaimed as unbelievable, as fairy tale stuff. Do you know, you make films, and if this was in America, they would make a film out of this Celtic team, of the heroics. It would be a blockbuster. It's unbelievable. Anyway, we are champions again, Oloele, and that's all that matters. When it comes to other Celtic news, there was a meeting last night. A lot of you sort of heard me speaking about it. There was a meeting last night with Paul McStay and Willie Hawkey and an ex-Celts for Change. An ex-Celts for Change that blocked me many years ago on Twitter, by the way. He did block me many moons ago on Twitter for me calling out the club on certain things. And I'm not even going to mention his name, but if you remember the Celts for Change, you remember who was more famous and kind of wrote a book about it and stuff, and made lots of money off the back of it. He was at that meeting. Now there's been I have been asking about and getting a certain person on the channel to do as much digging as they could. And he said the legend Paul McStay is here for a few days from Oz and Gracie's Irish Centre tomorrow, with Willie Hawkey explaining the aims of the season ticket alliance, plus meet and greet. Simon Donnelly here looking seriously interested. Free admission. First come entry by 7 p.m. Now that's interesting because they changed the narrative of it. They made it an open doors policy. Was the response from Celtic media not what Willie Hawkey wanted? Were there not enough Celtic media going to turn up to the event? It's an interesting one. It's we'll just see how that one pans out over the summer. Anyway, there's a bit of talk tonight about the manager's situation also. It's only chat, but yeah, we'll leave it at that. Well, we'll wait and see where he ends up. Anyway, that is me done and dusted for the night. I'm going to jump into some of their comments and see what they're saying tonight, because it's been how busy has it been tonight? We'll soon find out. That's been not too bad. Busy. It's just been a normal evening, around about 2,000 people online. Not bad for a Wednesday night. Tell me your thoughts in the comment section about the situation at Celtic. Excellent video exposing the raging anti-Irish racism at Celtic. It's like watching Escape to Victory. No one's given us hope in hell in winning the league apart from the fans and Celtic. They thought they won the league for over half a season and they got leapfrogged in the last game. This is very true. People talking about the Hearts situation. Zombie movies were made out of Rangers. Might have done the Pelly overhead kick 2 weeks ago and all. He did, didn't he? And you remember Pelly in that fantastic film. And it's sad that fantastic film. It was a film that I used to watch religiously as a kid every Christmas because it was out at Christmas time. But yeah, Pelly. And Sylvester Stallone in goals. Nobody remembers that, do they? Rocky was in goals before he was Rocky. He was a goalkeeper. Madness, isn't it? Oh. Yes, Celtic Mad Jerry. There you go for that one. You never take back an ex who dumps you. Yeah, this is very true. This is very true. Best film about the zombies. I don't even want to talk about it. My prediction is Neil Lennon will return as our manager, says Chillin Lee. I don't think that Neil Lennon will return as manager. I've said before, managers kind of get two shots at the title, as they say. Two bangs at the title. And Neil Lennon's had his two. We'll be drinking holy water at the cup. Let's hope so. If it's not holy water, make sure it's something that it's the blood of Christ. Just saying. Our board and club media don't want to raise heads above the parapet. Well, then it's up to Celtic fan media. It's up to Celtic sites to fight back. And if I'm not fancied as one of these lovies for the media and go down the middle ground and appeal to all fans and play the safe road, I don't think I'd ever do that. It would go completely against everything that I've stood for in my life. And when we come under attack, when our club comes under attack, it's up to all of us to fight back. If they want to take the fight to the club, we support the club. We fight for the club. And we're lucky that we live in an age where we're given the opportunity. Social media has a level playing field. No longer does the mainstream media control the narrative. They may think they have controlled it within the mainstream media, but let's prove them all wrong. Anyway, get Sarachi signed. Yep, I think that's one player that should be signed for Celtic. Check what's up. Oh, there you go. There you go. Wow. Wow. I have been. Who is that? Let me just. Sacha. Wow. I think there could be a bit of breaking news tonight. What was his name? Nope. Wow, he's got 200,000 followers. Well, there you go. It looks like Celtic have Touloused out. It looks like Celtic have Touloused out. Wow. Let me just see if I can get a little bit of verification on this. But Toulouse have a new manager. Jens. Motherwell FC have reached a financial agreement with Motherwell. Motherwell FC have reached a financial agreement with Toulouse to release their Danish coach. Everything is settled. Jens is currently finalising the deal with them. Well, there you go. Ladies and gentlemen, we have lost out on a manager. Wow. It's official. Sacha has, yeah, there we go. Who will be the next Celtic manager? We have lost out on Jens. He will be leaving Motherwell. He has left Motherwell by the sounds of it. And, to put it in a bit of perspective, he does have, It does have over 207,000 followers. Has he broken any other news? Unbelievable. If true, it looks like Celtic will have missed out on a fantastic manager, which you've got to say. Where does it leave Celtic? More questions, more answers needed. When you have people like Willie Hawkey doing the tour, a grand tour, he thinks he's whatever. He's doing a grand tour of Scotland, trying to drum up fans to back him, to get your data, so that he can buy £10 million worth of shares. But it looks like the big question for Celtic fans: who will be the new manager? It is not going to be Jens. I ask you, have Celtic just to lose, or have they just lost a fantastic manager? Jesus. Oh, it's going to be Martinez, isn't it? Anyway, that's me done and dusted for this evening. Thank you to everyone who has been on the video tonight. It's kind of weird breaking a bit of news of a potential... It's kind of... A lot of Celtic fans wanted him as manager. Do you know, I think deep down he was my second choice. But just because of the way that Motherwell played football. Do you know, the one-touch pass stuff from Motherwell was absolutely fantastic. Anyway, that's me done and dusted for this evening. A big shout to everyone who has been on the live this evening. I do believe there is some football on, so it's fantastic to have such great numbers when there is some football going on. It's not too bad. The little channel that I am, it's over 2,500 people have been on tonight. Absolutely fantastic. With that being said, have an absolutely fantastic evening, Celtic fans, wherever you are all around the world.